There's actually no historical evidence of Jesus.
We didn't make that up.
A guy named Constantine did.
What's your evidence that Constantine created Christianity?
Western history?
You're making ridiculous claims. Constantine,
Ridiculous
sir,
to say
did not
Constantine.
create Jesus Christ.
When you sit in a classroom, you listen to me, and when you sit out here, you listen to him. I've been thinking for longer than you've been alive. I don't think we have evidence of historical Jesus.
Say why?
That's insane. A college professor says that Jesus never existed and Constantine invented Christianity. This is absolutely wild stuff, guys. So let's get right into it. Shout out to Clip Connectly and give me an answer because this one is wild.
There's actually no historical evidence of Jesus. You're going to say
Of course there is.
Josephus?
What year do you live in, sir? 2018. What on earth does that mean? 2018 years after the birth of Christ.
Yeah, we made that up. I get that.
No, we didn't make that up.
A guy named Constantine did. That.
No, we didn't make that up.
A guy named Constantine did.
Constantine did not make up the calendar, sir. You're wrong.
That's wild.
Study your history.
See? Just ad hominem.
It's not ad hominem. Constantine
What ad hominem
did
is?
not put together the calendar.
That's true.
All right, then why'd you say Constantine made up?
Because he's the one that invented Christianity. That's how we get the Christian calendar idea.
All right, what's your evidence that Constantine created Christianity?
Western history?
There's absolutely no evidence that Constantine created Jesus Christ.
See y'all Saturday.
Maybe you should talk to a seminarian.
I did go to seminary.
Did you listen?
Yeah, I tried to. Same way I'm trying to listen to you. It's not easy, but I'm trying.
It's not easy because I disagree with you.
No, it's not easy because you're making ridiculous claims. Constantine,
ridiculous
sir,
to say
did not
Constantine.
create Jesus Christ.
The way he talks over me.
Jesus lived in the first century. There are documents, thousands of them, about this historical Jesus of Nazareth. Constantine did not make up Jesus, sir. Please study your history.
Did I say he made up Jesus?
Yeah, you said he created him.
No, I didn't. I said he created the idea of Christianity, which is what he did.
All right, what does that mean? He created the idea of
Do
Christianity.
you know the history of Constantine and Constantine?
Okay, that's absolutely wild for him to say that Christianity and the idea of Christianity came from Constantine. Way before Constantine was even alive, people were calling themselves Christians, followers of Jesus, as early as the first century. Did Constantine convert to Christianity and get baptized? Yes. And there's pretty good evidence for him to actually have good faith in who Jesus was.
Yeah?
What happened?
Constantine converted to Christ after a battle that he won. And he thought he saw a cross in the sky, and he put the cross on his soldier shield.
Why did he do that?
Because the empire was about to divide, and he was about to lose his power. And he wanted to win a battle.
Divisions.
Pardon?
There were 5 divisions.
Yeah, so?
One of them is his brother, and he wanted to unify all of them.
Yeah,
So he
so?
pretended to go with a primitive sect called Christianity. And he defeated his brother and the 3 other people so he could be the sole leader of Rome. That's what made Christianity famous. Before that, no one believed any of it, except for the few people in the sects. So you
What
know
sects?
that. You sounds like you've read it.
What sex?
Of Christianity. It was a roaming group of sects that nobody believed in.
So all the first Christians were Jews, they weren't Romans. All the first Christians were not
both.
Romans.
They're both.
They were Jews. No, in the first century and the early second century,
who they were.
the followers of Christ were predominantly Jews. Then it spread. The Apostle Paul started communicating the gospel of Christ to Gentiles. And then there was a real conflict between Jews and Gentiles who were following Christ. You can read about it in Acts chapter 15, the first council in
I
Jerusalem.
don't want to read your stuff. I'm talking about
It's not my
history.
stuff. It's the Gospels and the book of Acts. It's not
Your
my
stuff.
stuff. And
That's your
Constantine didn't write any of it.
That's
Matthew,
true.
Mark, Luke, and John, Peter, James, and Paul wrote
Now,
it,
do you
sir.
guys see how
Not
everything
Constantine.
I've said, he's gone a different direction?
Yeah,
That's
because
what
you're-
you have to do.
You're speaking gibberish, sir. You're
See what I mean?
proposing
Ad
to be.
He's making claims that are not even factually anywhere close to being true. He's just making claims that he's heard on the internet. There's no proof. And he's acting like the Bible can't be historical evidence, which it absolutely is. Comment down below, guys, how crazy this is.
You're posing to be a historian. You're saying that Constantine started Christianity. No, Constantine propelled Christianity
That's all I
by
said.
stopping
That's
the
all
persecution of
Wait,
Christians.
into something else?
No, it's not. It's exactly what
This
you
is why
said.
when you sit in a classroom, you listen to me, and when you sit out here, you listen to him.
What do you
He's
teach?
He's promoting emotion, and I'm promoting logic.
No, that's
See?
ridiculous.
What?
Think,
Gibberish.
sir.
It's
Think.
gibberish.
Think.
I've been thinking for longer than you've been alive.
Oh, really?
Believe it or not.
So you've been reincarnated?
What? Does he think he's older than Cliff? Like, that's crazy. This professor can't be right. There's no way.
No, I'm probably older than you.
You know, it's not voted.
So what do you think about Jesus Christ?
Top 3 issues.
I think he was a guy that the only real information we have is from a guy named Josephus. And recently we've discovered that he isn't very reliable. So what most seminarians know is it's the myth of Jesus, not the Jesus the man, that's important. That myth is something that came from the sects and then Constantine. But that wasn't even my point. Your point was that all people are created equal. And we don't know that. So you're promoting an idea that you believe that has no evidence.
I didn't say that.
You said all people are created equal, therefore Jesus Christ.
You'd quote me better. What I said was, according to Jesus Christ and the Bible, all human beings are equal because we all have been created in the image of God. That's what I said.
I pretend to teach so I can talk the whole time.
Yeah, well, you love to run circles. You're not being intellectually honest, sir.
Ad hominem.
No, it's a fact. It's just listening from me to you.
From me or to me?
Why don't you tell me what you think about Christ?
I don't have to think about it. I know what it is.
No, Christ
It's a
is not
myth
an
system.
it. Christ is a person.
That's crazy for him to think that Jesus is a myth. And for him to say that Josephus is not trustworthy is a wild statement. Josephus is known to be one of the most renowned Jewish historians around the first century. Like, how else can you get any information about the Romans overthrowing the Jews in 70 AD and the Jewish temple being destroyed? How else do you get that information? Josephus is the main source here. And he talked about Jesus. And he talked about Jesus being killed by Pontius Pilate. It's not that hard.
A human being who lived in Israel, in Palestine, about 2,000 years ago. So what do you think about the historical Jesus?
I don't think we have evidence of the historical Jesus.
Okay, why?
That's insane.
Because from what I understand about history, that is the side that evidence is on.
Give me one piece of evidence that the Gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John are mythology.
How would I give you evidence that it's mythology?
Well, very simple, by talking about literary genre, by talking about archaeology, by talking about manuscript evidence, by talking about internal consistency or inconsistency.
Right. So are you asking me whether I'm telling you it's not true? Yes, there were things written.
When?
But we're not arguing.
When were they written?
The things we read now were written more in the Dark
Matthew, Mark,
Ages.
Luke, and John. When were they written?
Well, the fact is they were rewritten and rewritten and rewritten in the Dark Ages.
When were they first written?
I don't think we know that.
Well, of course we
That's
do.
the whole point.
The early church fathers quote the Gospels in 96 AD.
But you see,
So obviously the Gospels were written in the first century. Obviously.
And that brings you to the point, when was Constantine around? In the 2nd and 3rd century, guys. You can't say that Christianity was started by Constantine. Constantine had nothing to do with it. And you can't say the Bible was formed by Constantine. He had the resources to put those things together, but he was not in any of those like meetings, if you want to call it that. There's so much evidence for Christianity and trusting in the Bible. That's why I love Cliff. He's so amazing about this.
obviously.
You can't quote a document if it's not been written yet. Obviously.
Do you realize?
So when the church fathers quote the Gospels in 96 AD, that means the Gospels were written before 96 AD because they're quoted. It's that simple. It's not complex. Anybody can understand that.
Hey, what's your educational background?
Well, I started at a very early age by going to kindergarten. What's your educational background?
But what it seems like is that it's in theater.
No, I never have done debate. I never have studied theater.
I'm not saying debate. I'm saying theater.
I've
Debate's
never
very
taken
different.
a theater class in my life.
Then why are you so good at it?
Why is he is doing ad hominem or whatever he likes to say it? He's literally reflecting and just like name calling. He's literally saying he's older than. There's no way he's older than him. This is too good. I can't.
I don't know.
Talented. But what you're teaching these kids is theater.
No, I'm not teaching them theater. I'm teaching them about Jesus Christ, the historical Christ, who is not a myth, but is reliable.
You realize most seminarians don't believe in the historical Jesus Christ.
That's false.
That is so false. Okay, let's just do a quick search here, guys. Where is this guy getting his sources? Yes, the overwhelming consensus among historians and scholars is that Jesus of Nazareth was a real historian figure. This consensus is based on a wide range of historical evidences, including both biblical and non-biblical sources from the 1st and 2nd century. Wow, you don't say. Why is this guy a professor, first of all?
They believe in the myth of Jesus Christ. They
No.
believe that has more to teach than a man that we
No.
don't have evidence for.
That's a very limited group of seminarians you're talking about. Like at Harvard Divinity School or at Yale Divinity School. Yes, there's some of that
Just
taught.
Yale.
And
Just
McCormick
Yale.
Divinity School, yes. But the vast majority of graduates of seminary today in the world, not just in good old US of A, but in the world, the Anglican Church in Africa, the churches in South America, they understand Jesus is Lord, Jesus is God. But why? Because the historical evidence is
Disproves it.
he lived, taught, died, and rose from the dead. And that's an historical fact. That's not a mythology.
How are you telling people that it's fact, though?
Well, I already challenged you on tests
No, but
that you
asking-
use to determine historicity, but you've evaded it. You've not answered it.
All right, do you realize that asking somebody to disprove something is not the same as proving it
That's not
yourself?
what I asked you. I asked you, how, you don't listen at all, sir.
me.
How do you positively decide whether an historical document is accurate or not? How do you make that
Okay,
decision?
well, let me ask you a question.
You don't
Why
want to
don't you
answer?
answer him?
Because it's
How do you decide? The same way you believe in Abraham Lincoln because of historical writings. The same way you believe in Alexander the Great. Historical writings. You can't say, oh, Alexander the Great is just a mythological person. There's 10 times more historical writings about Jesus of Nazareth compared to Alexander the Great. What are you saying?
possible to answer.
Well, then why don't you ask me how I would do it?
Right. What I'm asking you is the same type of question. If I believe in an invisible spaghetti monster, how do you disprove me?
By asking you, what's the evidence that the invisible spaghetti monster is alive?
I've written tons of documents about it, and I can tell you why you can't see it and I can.
No, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John are not talking about an invisible person, Jesus of Nazareth.
And I'm talking about that situation. I'm talking about my own situation that's very similar. I have an invisible spaghetti monster, and there's plenty of documents. Go online, actually. You'll find
What are they?
millions of entries online about the spaghetti monster.
Why?
Unfortunately, you can't see them and I can. How do you disprove me?
By saying, before I'm going to trust anybody, I want evidence that they're real.
Right.
And
I
if you're
can
going to
show
tell me
you
about the
documents.
spaghetti
You just
monster,
said documents.
and there's no evidence that the spaghetti monster lives, I'm not going to believe in the spaghetti monster. It's that simple.
That's what I just said to you.
So Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John are historical
Me and a million other
narratives.
people online that documented the spaghetti monster. It's
No.
the same sort of document.
There's no reliable.
No, it's not. Because we know nowadays anyone can write anything on the internet. We all know that we shouldn't just believe anything that we read on the internet. But if you find historical manuscripts time after time saying this is how it was, eventually you got to believe that.
Document about the spaghetti monster.
What's more reliable about yours than about the spaghetti monster?
The Gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John were
Well,
written
you're calling them.
in the first century by eyewitnesses.
Century. They're in different centuries.
Those eyewitnesses saw Christ, heard Christ.
Right, we saw the spaghetti monster. That's what I'm telling you. I understand you didn't see it, and that's fine. But we see it, and he's invisible to people like you, but visible to people like me.
Well, then if you want to go ahead and believe in the spaghetti monster because you've seen him,
Right?
that's your right. I respect your right to do that. But
Okay, here's the difference though. The resurrection of Jesus is very plausible. How everyone behaved and interacted. The disciples were willing to die after they claimed Jesus resurrected. Before that, they were not. They were scared. They were afraid. They did not want to die. But when they saw Jesus resurrect, they believed that Jesus is God. And obviously, they're going to live their life for him no matter what, even if they face death and persecution. No one dies for a lie that they know to be a lie. And there's nothing for them to gain. Like, they're not gaining power. They're not getting fame, pleasure, money, wealth, none of that at all. And that points to evidence of Jesus actually resurrecting.
because there's no
So now you're
evidence.
here trying to convince them about spaghetti monster technology. I can if you guys want to know. He's super interesting.
Because there is no evidence that I've seen that the spaghetti monster is real.
Right, I get that.
But because the evidence is that Jesus Christ is real, that's why I have put my faith in Christ.
But you're not providing any reason for it.
Because you interrupt me, that's why. I was answering that.
The reason is that I interrupt you. That's the only. You've had all day out here to prove it.
Oh, I can't prove anything.
I know you
Question
can't
is
prove
evidence.
anything. That's what I'm saying.
What does the evidence point to?
So before you talk to these people, find things you can prove.
Prove to me we're having this conversation.
I can actually prove it.
Prove it. How? Go ahead, do it.
Because you can't use language without external reality.
Prove to me I'm not a bad dream you're having.
Right. It's because
possible.
we're using language.
You can't prove anything.
Are you?
You don't base your life on proof. You base your life on evidence. The evidence is we're having this conversation. That's why we continue. What do you teach here?
When you use
Do you
language,
teach anything?
when you use language, those words have to coordinate between other words. If those words don't exist in external reality independent from you, my words and his words would mean so dramatically different things that we couldn't actually have the conversation. It would sound like a monkey and a rhinoceros trying to communicate.
What?
The fact is, our words do prove external reality, which is a separate question than anything we've discussed, because he doesn't study epistemology or metaphysics. He actually probably studies nothing. But if you understood...
Well, that's a very judgmental statement. How do you know that I study nothing?
You might. I'm not saying you don't.
You just said he doesn't study
you
nothing.
Probably do not.
All right, how do you know that?
Because you're standing out here talking about things that don't have evidence to a bunch of people that need that to make it through class.
I am providing evidence,
You're trying to win over
historical.
people to your ideology, which is fine. But you're
I
doing
am
it.
providing historical evidence that Jesus Christ is reliable.
How are you going to?
That historical evidence is found in the Gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, in the writings of Paul, Peter, and James. That historical evidence is very clear. Jesus was born. Well, just listen to Luke. He begins Luke chapter 1 with the words, "Most excellent Theophilus, I made a careful study of all the events surrounding Jesus. I put them down in an orderly account so that you may know the reason for your belief." That is the literary style of historical narrative. It is not mythology, sir. It is historical narrative. Do you know how to tell the difference between historical narrative and mythology? What's the
What does it have
difference?
to do with whether it's true?
Because
can have a
history
literary-
can be true. Do you think George Washington was first president of the United States?
Listen, let me just give you an example.
Do you think George Washington was first president of the United States? Have you proven it scientifically? No, sir, you don't get George back here on this campus and have him inaugurated every September. But why do you study history? Because the trustworthiness of eyewitness testimony is a legitimate form of knowledge. People saw Washington inaugurated first president of the United States. You don't scientifically prove that.
Wow.
You historically see the evidence.
He just left. How can you not say that there's not historical evidence for Jesus of Nazareth? That is absolutely mind-blowing. It seems like he has something else within his mind that is causing him to discredit anything without any proof or evidence. And that's the problem. What Cliff is saying is there is plenty of historical evidence from Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and Paul writing about their experiences and eyewitness testimonies of the one and only Jesus Christ, who claimed to be the Son of God, was crucified by the Romans and died and was resurrected in 3 days so that we could be saved. That's it. And that's why you should believe in Jesus. Anyway, guys, shout out to Cliff Connectly. That was absolutely fascinating stuff. Wild stuff. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. I'm trying to hit 100,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and I know we could do it with your help. So thank you so much for all the love and support. It means the world. Have an amazing day, and God bless.